and we talk about our personal life as well, our interests outside comics and stuff like that. Comics. Yeah.
What the happened to your brain?
Yeah, I had a little stroke. Sorry.
This is the Inkpulp podcast.
Yo!
I gotta go. You have surprisingly white teeth, like you take care of them every night.
It's just an illusion. I don't take care of my teeth at all.
Yeah.
My girlfriend always complains. Like
They look
sometimes I can go like 2 straight days without washing them.
Oh, you are disgusting.
But you're right. Like
filthy Parmesan pig.
Your gums.
But at the same
man.
time, I gotta say that my teeth are fine. Like they're pretty. They're not that yellowy, and they're
No, they're not great. I'm just saying, you just curse yourself by
drink
saying it
coffee.
out loud. He does drink coffee once in a while, no?
No. I drink ginseng from time to time, here and there, but I'm not a coffee fan. I'm an anomaly here in Italy.
I know.
How are you guys?
They make some
It's
of the
good
best
to see
coffee
you.
I've ever tasted. Not good seeing you. What episode? Episode 156, Matteo. Shawn?
No, not 156.
Where are we?
Hold on. I'm getting it. My notes have collapsed. It is episode 160.
Holy cow.
All right.
I sometimes give us way too much credit or not enough credit. Either way, let's do this stupid thing one more time. I have a question for you right off the bat. Oh, by the way, we are here. Welcome to the Inkpulp podcast.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us. Matteo Cera is here with his amazing set of enamels that he never takes care of 2 days at a time, according to him. He needs his personal assistant, also known as his girlfriend, to tell him to go wash out his mouth. And as always, we are here.
She doesn't. Oh, by the way, you said
Mr.
personal assistant, which sounds like she wants to help me, and she doesn't. It's just it grosses her out. So she, imposes me to go to the bathroom and wash my teeth and brush my teeth.
So she forces you to shower. She forces you to brush your teeth.
Yeah.
You're just, it's
But
like
it's just
living
for
with
her.
with a Neanderthal. Right.
Yeah,
of course.
but it's just for her.
You know what's
she's really
what's
selfish.
interesting is that what's interesting is that she what do you call it? She had a baby. And she's also taking care of another baby, so she's technically got 2 infants in the household that she's got to maintain. God bless her. She's meant for heaven.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Matteo,
we're here.
why don't you?
We're here because
just
of
get some
good
diapers?
graces of our. We are here due to the good graces of my good friend, our very gracious host, Mr. Shawn Crystal.
Hello.
Thank you for having us, Shawn.
Hey, thanks.
All right, what are we talking about? You said you had questions.
I got a question for you guys. I got a question.
Okay.
You were
Let's
talking
start.
about basketball.
Yeah,
Before we
about
hit
bats?
record, you're talking about basketball because Matteo's wearing a jersey. Matteo, do you follow basketball and enjoy watching it?
I used to follow it a lot back in the day. I would say until maybe 6 or 7 years ago. Might be wrong with this number, but there's been a time in which I used to follow it a lot, especially because for a certain period of time I used to buy the new what's his name, the EA Sport game on the computer. NBA Live. NBA Live.
Yeah.
So from
NBA Live.
From I think I don't know, like 98 to whatever to 2016, I used to, play a lot that game. I don't know if it existed in the 90s. I don't know, whatever. So for a bunch of years, I used to play a lot on my computer, so I knew all the stats and stuff like that. It was funny because sometimes I thought that a player was bad because it was bad on the video game, and then I found out it was good. But
okay.
Because I knew all the numbers that they had on the video game. So to me, it was like, okay, this guy has just as 60 out of 90 in 3-point shooting, so that's a bad shooter. And actually, the guy was, in reality, he was really good. So, but yeah, whatever. But
Eric, what about you? Are you into basketball?
I was. I stopped probably. No, I'll pick it up once in a while. I'm easily about 7 to 10 years behind. My buddy, who used to be a guy who stayed at my place, he was big into basketball. He was a big Golden State fan. That was his neck of the woods. And so that's I would get a contact.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Eric.
Yeah.
But basketball is a pretty popular sport in the Philippines, right?
It's pretty big. Yeah. They've in my time when I was paying attention, they were huge Lakers fans. At least my family was.
Gotcha.
What brought that up, Shawn?
Because in Italy, we have all the Filipino people, they play basketball. That's a thing.
There's Filipino people in Italy? Now I know you're lying. I gotta go.
No. There's a not big. It's a pretty small community here in Parma as well. But you don't see me around a lot. But whenever there's a basketball court, it's filled with Filipino people playing. So it's their thing. So that's why I asked.
Now here's a fun fact about that. In Italy, if you arrive and you claim yourself as a Filipino, the agents, drive you directly to the basketball court. I think that's why they're all there. Yeah. They don't even know where to go. But
absolutely.
But the government drives them and puts them in the basketball court and says, "Good luck over here." I'm actually going to tell you a funny story. In when we were in Lake Como.
Yeah.
There was a guy, a custodian, that was helping to clean up the green room. Did you go there, by the way? Did any of you go to the green room?
And he was Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I went to the green room.
He was like, I've been the best in the world. I've owned basketball teams, and now I'm here cleaning up. Anyway.
I made a couple of bad investments, and now I have to clean this house.
No, actually, he bought that area. That entire thing was Michael Jordan's land.
Okay.
But yeah, he turns out to be Filipino. And the thing was, like, he was just helping out, and he kind of gives me this look, like, "What are you doing here? Why aren't you at the basketball courts?" He was giving me that look. And and then when he figured out who I was, there was that thing, and I think Filipinos do it with each other all the time. There's the immediate sort of like familiarity, where they start becoming really, really friendly with you very quickly. And he was talking about, he gave me a quick breakdown of how his family ended up there. And he said, "Hey, listen," and out of nowhere, this is typical, but I hadn't been exposed to it in such a long time that I was like, "Oh, right, this is what we do as a culture." He said, "The next time that you're in town," he meant Como, "come to my house and have dinner. Bring your wife and your friends and come to my house and have dinner." And I go, "Really?" He goes, "No, I'm really close. That McDonald's in Como?" And I go, like, "Yeah, I know that one. Like we walk by that place all the time. It's right across the way from that Foot Locker." And he goes, "Yeah, it's that
Behind
one. I
it,
live
there's
right
a
above
basketball
there."
court. I live there.
Yeah. Inside the McDonald's, sponsored by the Big Mac and the Chicken McNuggets. No, but I mean, it was kind of neat to see that bit of culture still extends regardless of where you are in the world. That's how I met a bunch of my mom's friends, and that's how people became friendly with her when she came over here. Now, if you were an Italian, I think it's the same thing. No, they, as soon as they figure out that you guys are of the same country, that they invite you to their places. Talking to you, Matty.
Probably back then, but now we've. I think we've changed as a society, so we became more, like a modern Western society. So we have less of that lately. People are more suspicious and scared in general. So I think things have changed a bit. Maybe in the South that still exists, but I wouldn't bet money on it. But yeah. So that's my 2 cents on the subject. And it might be terribly
here's what I
wrong.
recognize. No, I think that suspicion is true, because I remember when we came to visit your place, you were side-eyeing me. You were looking at like, what is it over there that he can steal and put in his pocket? And then, you gave me a hug on the way out of your house, but you weren't hugging me. You were patting me down.
I would,
you were like, yo, like this,
just to make
and
sure.
then and then you went all the way down to my legs and my knees, and I go, this is a weird, there's a weird culture that
but
you
it wasn't
here,
me. It's Francesca who insisted. Okay, so it's not my fault.
Yeah. So here's the other thing too. I only understand a little bit of Italian, but it's weird how I think she said, pat him down. That much I figured out. And then the other part is when you said, well, what about Cassandra? And she's like, no, she's safe. She's white. But the Filipino guy, you've got to make sure that he's not walking out of here.
Yeah. And
so
Cassandra is
runs
especially white, so no suspicions about her at all.
My wife is so white, she's almost transparent. She's so transparent, you can almost see into the future. She's like the flux capacitor of like human beings.
She's so white that even she pets you down when you leave the house.
Yeah. She like, what did you steal from our own home? And I need you to put it back immediately. I give her a hug and she immediately checks if she still has her earrings. You know what I mean? And she's like, open your mouth. What's in your mouth right now? Is it my earrings? Is it my jewelry?
I don't think you're even allowed to take the kids out of the house without her, right?
I know, because she already immediately thinks I'm going to sell them to the local,
Yeah.
We're going to get demonetized.
Eric,
we're going to get kicked off this platform.
Eric, she's got you sleeping in the garage these days, doesn't she?
She does. There's a cot, there's a cot out there and a bucket. And she says, good luck. All right, listen, let me ask this question.
Well, wait, I never got to my point.
You had a point?
I watched, why I was asking about the basketball stuff. I watched the first season of that LA Lakers HBO show called Winning Season.
How was it?
I saw that, but I didn't watch it yet. Is it good?
Oh, it was so good. Yeah. But then the second season, I was even into it more. And I couldn't understand what I enjoyed about this show so much, because I've never been into sports. But after watching this show, I'm curious. Like, maybe I should watch basketball. Just because
it's a dramatized version of the Lakers run, so it's like
sure.
It's just has it
and
doesn't
there
have
wasn't
to be
that
accurate.
Much basketball.
It doesn't have to be accurate. It just needs to be entertaining,
Right. But it was a good show, except it ended really abruptly.
Yeah, I heard that it wasn't getting a third season or something.
Yeah, but the way they wrapped it up was just so brutal and sudden. It just made no sense. Like they like they weren't given any advance warning that this show wasn't going to continue.
Have you watched The Last Dance, Shawn?
Have you watched that?
No, but I hear that's amazing.
Yeah,
I hear that's amazing.
That's the one to watch.
Good. Yeah,
and it
came out at the right time when COVID broke. So everybody was at home, just out of their minds, and that masterpiece of a documentary came out. And I mean, it's all people talked about back then.
Yeah, I remember. I remember.
And another sport-related documentary. Sorry to interrupt, Eric.
Wait! Before you go there's something about The Last Dance. I'm going to forget it. Let me talk about The Last Dance bit. There was a section in there in which a lot of people were getting really riled up about the idea that Luke Longley wasn't getting enough credit during the championship run, right? And so somebody did an interview with him. It's a small little documentary about Luke Longley and how he became the NBA superstar. And they said, how do you feel that they left you out of that whole thing? Because it was focused around typically Jordan, Rodman and Pippen. And he goes, oh, I understand. I understand my role in the team and blah, blah, blah. But he was especially de-emphasized, right? They were talking about, John Paxson and all that kind of stuff, right? Steve Kerr. But so they interviewed him and he goes, did you know that they actually shot the footage where Mike was talking about you, but they left it out in the edit? And he's like, oh, really? And shit. They ran the footage of Michael Jordan going like, I don't want to ever talk about, the Chicago Bulls without Luke Longley, because there's just they showed the part where he was in the documentary. They showed the part where he was chewing out Luke Longley because he wasn't doing his job, but they didn't show the part where Michael Jordan was singing his praises. Basically, I don't want to talk about the Chicago. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't want to talk about the Chicago Bulls championship run without this guy, because, there are plenty of times when he's the guy that's bailing us out, that kind of a thing. And Luke, I think, was really touched by it. He's like, that's very nice of him to say, because for the longest time, all he saw was that portion of the documentary where he was talking him down. So it just goes to show, man, depending on how certain things are cut or how things are taken out of context, how potentially damaging it is, for some people. Anyway, sorry to cut you off, Mandy. Go ahead. Sure. Last dance.
Or last chance. No, I was talking about another pretty good documentary. It's another docu series, so it's a longer format, and it's called Last Chance U, and it talks about college football. And every year they follow a team really up close. So they follow specific players, their situations at home, because it's junior college. So sometimes there are kids that get in trouble in their personal life. Mm-hmm. And it's a really good one. It's really good. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Shawn, do you know what he's talking about? Do you even know what sports are? Do you play sports? Okay,
Never
so let me ask this. Now that we've spent, he doesn't know this. He doesn't know how to spell sports.
When I was a really little kid, my parents put me into sports, and it really basketball. I did kind of enjoy a little bit as a little kid, but I was the tiniest, skinniest little fuck. So whatever I played, I sucked at, and I didn't enjoy it. But once I discovered skateboarding, that took over my life. So yeah, never organized sports and teams. No, never enjoyed it.
Gotcha. You weren't made for it. Yeah. No wonder you're an artist, because you're such a loner.
Yeah, I'm a loner, motherfucker.
Okay, so here, on that note, we are 17 minutes into this show. And on more than a handful of episodes that I go and watch, which, by the way, you guys did a phenomenal job with Michelle. You guys were taught, you were at your highest there.
That was really fun.
Everything is downhill from here, though. I think that's as high as that was. Every interview.
That was our King of Spies. Okay. So is this the Mr. Freeze episode? I mean, you look like
every episode. Eric. I feel like. I love the fact that you're getting so much more confident about that delivery. It's so amazing to see your growth as a comedian. Okay, so here's my point. I've looked at the comments, and there's more than a handful. There's a lot of them. By the way, thank you to everybody who leaves a comment and engages with the videos. We can't do it without you. There's some people in there clearly bots. You are money well spent, regardless. But there's some of them say oh, this is really cool for me. I find a lot of value in hanging out and listening to you guys talk and blah blah blah. And I was like, really? Do you see a bunch of value of us talking? We just spent 17 minutes talking about the fact that Shawn doesn't understand sports and the value. He doesn't know what good it could have brought into his life and why he's so miserable now without it. And how Matteo is stuck in the past and he's just wearing a Larry Johnson jersey. You guys find value in that? So I wanted to talk to you guys about, what do you think these guys, our audience is seeing? You guys have you're not as cynical as me. What do you see that they're walking away with?
Can I start, Shawn?
Go ahead.
Go, man.
So it's I think it's the same reason why Even comedians podcasts are really successful now. It's because, especially with this podcast that we're doing, the way we're doing it, which is not just, okay, let's just talk about comics for 1 hour, and we talk about our personal life as well, our interests outside comics and stuff like that. Comics. Yeah. Sorry. And I think that especially
what the fuck happened to your brain?
Yeah, I had a little stroke. Sorry. I'm fine now. Okay, this is gonna be the clip.
I almost spit my water all over the camera when he said I had a mini stroke.
Shit, dude. You literally stopped. Like your brain stopped working.
What happened?
He was rebooting. I don't know what happened.
I was just talking about comedians, and then I said comics, and for a second I was like, oh, I'm still talking about comedians. I confused the two words. Instead, comics still valuable for comic books, so it was good. Just a brain fart. Come on. So,
Jamie, when Matteo has that brain fart, you got to make his pupils dilate completely.
Oh
no, dude!
Yeah,
you got to do. You got to do that little.
Just put a shark.
You've got to do. You've got to do that.
Yeah,
what do
the
you call
scan
it?
of my
You've got to
brain
do that
just
little beat.
interrupting.
That beach ball. You know what I mean? That processing beach ball for a computer, where it's just like, you know what I mean? Like.
And we talk about our personal life as well, our interests outside comics and stuff like that. Comics. Yeah. So, well, this is one of the reasons, because I provide a lot of funny moments in the podcast. So a good 90% of people,
Here we go.
Watch us because of that. But aside from that, is especially because we're comic book artists, so people don't see us really. Like most of the time, they don't even know how we look like. So this is one of the few chances that they have to actually know the person behind the art, and and that's what happens with comedians. Shit, I was about to say comics. With comedians as well.
Oh, fuck, man.
Because, most of the time you just see their public persona, you see their acts, their comic specials. And, it's still an act. So you don't really see the person behind it and their, the personal life and the shit that they have to face day by day. So I think for, in a way, it brings people closer to the actual person, not just, the artist, if it makes sense. What do you think, Shawn?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think Matteo nailed a bunch of it. I think also there's a chemistry between us three because we've been friends for so long and doing shows together that chemistry people really enjoy watching. Yeah, well, I mean, chemistry, right?
Yeah.
Butt sex.
Chemistry. Not biological. not like physical sex, but not physical sex, but like emotional sex.
Ooh, that's deep sex.
He's pretending he forgot everything.
Hey, what'd you say, Matteo?
He removed from, his memory all the sex that we had.
He's blocking it.
Hey, listen, Matteo. If
this is called denial.
If emergency services start driving up that very long runway, right? It's because I called them. You brain farted twice back to back, and I'm like, this is serious. I called your girlfriend, and I think she's going to think she called them.
Is an actual stroke.
Yeah. Most people say third time's the charm. You say third John times the stroke. Go ahead, Shawn.
Strokes.
I think people like the fact that it's not just all business, but we do cover some business.
We never
stuff,
do any
but
business.
We also have fun doing so. Oh, yeah, we do.
Yeah, we kind of do. Come on.
We almost remember
Anyways,
near the end of the show
enjoy-
to bring shit up.
Yeah,
I have
it's
a
the
business
final
question,
10
though.
minutes of the show.
Nobody's
bring it up at
listening
the
by
end.
then.
And it's also my devilish good looks that keeps people hooked on the show.
I gotta go.
I did it.
Also, Shawn, people are curious to see which type of which kind of glasses are you gonna wear?
And our outfits and our outfits too.
Yeah,
Eric, why
my
haven't you
jerseys.
commented on my shirt? I wore this today expecting an onslaught from you. This hot pink shirt.
Now you've worn more obnoxious things, dude.
Yeah.
What do you think, Eric?
Okay, so
what do you think the reason is?
I really have no fucking idea why.
Okay, so it was an actual question. You didn't have an opinion regarding that.
When I read stuff like that, I go like, I wonder what it is about what we do that fascinate people. We rarely talk about process. We rarely talk about comic books that we are currently reading because we don't. We're not. And the point of reference that I have, and I don't know if you watch Jim, the cartoonist kayfabe show. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
No.
Those guys are neck deep into it, man. They go back and read old Wizard magazines. They go back and focus on artists that they super like and all that kind of stuff. We rarely do that. So I think like, what the heck do we do? There's actually a guy in one of the comments near the bottom, and I don't know if it was trolling, but it was perfectly said. They said, "You guys are comic book artists?" And I go, barely, like that's I laugh at that stuff only because I think like, what do we don't broadcast ourselves as like doing comics. We end up talking about comics from time to time. That if a guy were to walk into here, I'm like, who are these idiots and why are people tuning into them? Sometimes it's clear. Some guys, like there's channels out there like focused on art, and it's clear that they end up talking about our art or like technology about art and blah blah blah, all those things.
Yeah.
We come on here, and I'm like, what are we doing? We're just effing around. Where's the value?
Which is what makes it awesome.
There's no value.
That's what makes it awesome, right there.
No value at all.
There's zero.
Speaking of which, okay, let's talk about comics and art. All right.
Oh boy.
Are you cool with it?
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay, so
I'm cool with you, baby. Go ahead.
I have a question for you two. So since for the last few weeks, I've been just working on covers, as you know, and illustrations.
Oh,
all right. So I have one last one to do before getting back to my creator own project, and this one I left it for last because it's a special one, so it has to be like big, basically a double spread, all painted. All right, and probably like my brain is exhausted for all the previous illustrations that I did because I had to, create new poses and original compositions and stuff. And like I've been working on this thing, on the composition for this piece for, I would say, a week now. And I'm still not happy. And I can't seem to find any valuable solution. So did it ever happen to you to get stuck for so long on one single image? And if it did, what do you do when it happens?
Go ahead, Shawn.
Eric. Oh, okay. For me, yes, I'll get stuck. But as I'm getting stuck and I realize like I'm repeating the same idea, just trying to come at it from different angles, I will abandon that idea and just go for a completely new idea. So I don't labor on it too long. I mean, I might lose a day, but I'll just try a totally different approach. And that will either lead me to see the flaw in the first approach so I can fix it, or it'll just lead me down another path where I'll find what a better solution.
Yeah,
but
because that's what I did. So I have like a bunch of sheets filled with sketches, alternative sketches and stuff like that, but I never got to the solution that I
You know what I
like.
did once? I'll tell you what I did. I just did the
You
cover.
masturbated 5 times, and then all of a sudden, you come out with
that's exactly what I was going to say, and then it comes
Sorry
right out.
to interrupt. Sorry.
No, I'm doing a cover for Ramon Perez's Raid anthology. Well, I did a cover, and as I was thumbnailing it, I did get a little stuck. I didn't have anything I loved, and I sent it into Ramon. Luckily, I knew, like, here's an art director I can trust, and showed him what I had, and he bounced some idea back to me. I did another 2 thumbnails, and like we kind of went back and forth a little bit, and with his input, it really helped me get into a zone. Like, I did a cover that I'm really happy with, and it's so different than anything I've ever done before. So maybe getting another artist's eyes on stuff and getting some feedback on it might help.
Awesome. Well, this is a valuable one. I've actually asked to a friend of mine, but he's not giving me the right input. So maybe
was that Eric?
Yeah, I didn't want to say it publicly, Shawn.
You knew he was lying when he said he asked a friend of mine.
I like Matteo's little whisper into the microphone. It's our private conversation, as if Eric can't hear us.
Like, you took him over to the side, and you're like, "Dude, why did you say that out loud? He's in the room." You know, you could also tell that he's lying because he said, "I showed a friend of mine." I'm like, "No, bullshit. You don't have any friends. You know, like you don't. You have acquaintances. You have people that you pay." Well, let me think. Okay, here's what I've come to just based on the last time that you asked for a piece of advice, and this may be helpful one step before where Shawn is coming from. You said something a long time ago where you're like, "Dude, I have this process in my mind in which I do X, Y, and Z as far as the pages are concerned," right? You said, I think this was what feels like a few months ago.
Yep.
And then you had a process. Refresh my memory, Matteo. You had a process back then, and then you said, you asked for advice, and I go like, not to say to throw away the process, but think about moving it somewhere else in the production. Do you remember that?
I kind of remember. I remember you telling me that sometimes when you get stuck, it's because you have too high of expectations. So remember, you told me to go back to those expectations and tune them down, and then go back to the thing that you were planning on doing.
Yeah. And I think it's the same here, right? Which, if I'm understanding how you're working, like, so what you did with yourself as far as your process was concerned, like, number one, you identified this is going to be a big one, right? I'm going to leave this one to the end because I know this is the one that somebody asked me to do. It's the one that my heart is in, and I'm going to get as much of this stuff done as possible so I can focus on this one. You know what I mean? And so from my limited vantage point, I'm all like, oh, that's how Matteo set himself up to not succeed in this space, because he identified this one to be very special. I'll tell you this as a compliment.
D1.
And this is the last one for this year. So,
well, it's September.
You start charging after this?
I'll survive.
This will last. Yeah, this is Q. You're not going to get anything Q4 2023. So here's what I, in my most humble opinion, you draw some of the most phenomenal covers that I've ever seen. I think in your skill set, where you are in your career, you are far exceeding what you should be doing. You should suck a whole lot more right now. By the way, this is a compliment, but also an insult. You should suck a whole lot more right now. You have no business being as good as you are, and yet you're really, really good. So you did so many covers for the X amount of months that we've been
disguised as an insult.
I think it's the other way. I think it's an insult disguised as a compliment. So here you are doing all of these covers. And by the way, none of all of those covers, I'd say 80, 90%, a very high percentage, right? A very high ratio, are going to be fucking amazing. You've shown us a lot of them, and I'm like, geez Louise, these guys are very, very lucky that Matteo is at this point in his career, because if it was 3 years ago, potentially even 3 months from now, he sucks, you know, like he's going to have every opportunity to suck up the joint. But right now on this cover, this shit is high end. Leave it like in my heart, I'm like, leave it like this. The black and white is so damn good. I almost feel like they're missing an opportunity to take advantage of just that thing being raw. And they put, not to diminish the coloring effort or whatever it is, but I'm looking at it going, that would stand out so much on the shelf. But that's just my opinion. My point is, you got it in your head that this next set of covers needs a level of special that you had already been delivering in the previous covers. There's no reason to go into this space of like, yo, this needs to be that much more special because of X, Y, and Z. You are going to deliver in the same high quality that you have been delivering for the past X amount of covers that you've done. But in your head, you said this needs to be that level of special. You know, it's already going to be that. It's already going to be in that space, you know, but you've convinced yourself because you saved it last, because you're going to do it, you know, for this friend of you. Like there's all of these things that you built up in your head. And potentially that's why you're like, oh, I'm not really all that happy with all the stuff that I've done. But somebody on the outside of your head looking at the pieces, you're like, dude, this is freaking phenomenal. You know, you pick any one of these, it's going to be just as good. But you've set an expectation in your own head that it must be A, B, and C. And now you don't even know what that means to you. And that's why you're generally unhappy with like what good looks like for this cover, you know?
Yeah, no. I know what you're saying. And I understand. I hear you. I don't know. It's just, you know, sometimes when I work on something, as I'm doing it, even in the sketch phase, I have the feeling that, okay, I'm getting somewhere, you know, it might need some reworking here and there, but it's, you know, I got the core of it. And here I'm not finding the core. With all the, you know, the tests and the trying, I came up with a final solution, but I'm still like, I have the feeling that probably in a month or two, I'll be just working on watching something. I'm like, oh, fuck. That's how I should have done it. You know, that's,
for sure.
You know, that's the feeling that I have, you know, and but again, it's, I understand. You know what would be funny? If right after this recording, I'll show you guys, and then you reply, "Oh no, this is really awful. You were right, Matteo." Yeah.
you were right. You were right not to go.
That you just said. You should rework on this one because this one is horrible.
Not only that, we see all the other ones that you've been working on previously. I'm like, no, I take everything back. This is a dumpster fire. Don't give that. They paid you good money for this piece of shit.
The Mr. Freeze curse.
It's coming back to haunt you guys, man. All right, so what is that it? Are we done? It's 38 minutes. Or can we go now?
No, I had another question.
Damn it. All right, go ahead.
This is one I've been wanting to ask for a few weeks. And Eric, I want to hear your response to this too in a big way. So thoughts on animated trailers for comics? Because I know, Eric, you've dabbled in this with your stuff, and seeing what Rafael Grampa's doing with this Batman animated stuff, it's bizarre to me. But I want to hear, do you think it works and why?
So Saturday, I was hanging out with my son, and we were like roughhousing like crazy. And he's of an age now where he just loves that, like expending that kind of energy. Mm-hmm. And at some point in that roughhousing, he straight up kicks me in my eye. So I have like an eye bruise in this eye right here. And I've freaked out because I thought like, oh my gosh, I'm going to need some more. And then they're like, no, don't worry about it. I called my doctor. I had to call my optometrist. And like, no, that's typical. It happens. Just as long as it doesn't take over more than 50% of your eye and there's no significant damage around it, there's any kind of bruising or whatever. That's my roundabout way of saying like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like animated commercials for like freaking comic books, dude. I'm trying to change the subject is what I'm getting at. Can we talk about anything else? But can we talk about like eye bruises?
What's the matter with my question?
I don't have a good answer.
Okay. All right. I mean,
as usual,
you usually research what you're doing.
to your point, Shawn, there was a minute in the bumper or in the trailer for our thing where you went right down Shawn Street again. You know, Shawn Avenue, Shawn Boulevard. We're like, did I just kill the podcast? And I was like, yeah, yeah.
I just asked it was the question.
It was all Matteo could do to like. I could like if there was a television screen on Matteo's forehead as you were giving that commentary. You could just read it like, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck. Like, you know, Nick, he is reacting to the moment where he was like, what am I going to say to follow this up? We have a guest, for crying out loud. And Shawn is just like, I'm just driving down Depression Avenue. I'm not going to do any kids' books.
What? How is that depressing?
Shawn, what's the trailer that you were talking about? So it's Raphael Grandpa.
Yeah, it's called Gargoyle of Gotham. Yeah, Gargoyle of Gotham.
Gargoyle of
He's
Gotham.
made a few. Yeah, I think he's made a few at this point. And like high production value, like a lot of time and money was put into this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking it up now. You guys want to look at it? You guys want to watch it on the show?
Have you guys not seen it? You haven't seen it, I guess.
No.
Get in trouble for what?
Well, I'll put it on as we talk. So.
Oh, it's what do you call it? It's 3D.
It's 3D. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Does that help sell a comic? Did
he make it?
He made it. I don't know if he was in charge of it. He directed it and produced it. Yeah, it's based on his design. I'm sure he has a team of people he worked with to do it, but it's his, not DC.
No, it says official trailer from DC Comics. So,
yeah.
Well, I think he got them behind it, but I think he was the art director, producer. I think it was all him.
Mm-hmm. Well, it looks good.
What do you think of it, Maddie?
It does. Yeah, talk to me.
We're not talking about the quality, right? We're talking about the functionality of it. Yeah.
No, it's a gorgeous. The trailers are beautiful. Does that help sell a comic book? Like, it's just a question I've had. Do animated trailers help sell comics? And this one is such a high production value.
It might help, meaning that so they're doing this special thing. So it means that they're investing on it. So it must be good. Maybe that's the only impression that I have, because normally you wouldn't be spending that much money on a comic book project.
Grandpa's a very, very rendering. It doesn't like when Raphael's work doesn't look 3-dimensional. So like, my take is like this trailer looks great, but it looks nothing like the book. What it's bizarre to me.
Yeah,
does that help
maybe
sell the book?
They should have
open the book and it looks
they
totally
should have
different.
Used his heart, like something that resembled his heart a little bit more, maybe. But I don't know.
What does it say that? What does it say? Like, there's a couple of things that are going on to my head. It's like, you're advertising for a comic book by using a trailer that only barely resembles the comic book. And what does it mean that the only way that you can get any sort of attention for a comic is to go the route of this animated thing that you're doing? You know what I mean? Like, it's not cynical. I'm just trying to understand like the psychology of like, they have to do more than what's being offered, because otherwise, it doesn't get that much stickiness in people's minds. It doesn't, you know what I mean? It doesn't get that. Like, the reason why we're talking about it is because, look at the rendering of this, the production value, Raphael is doing it to hype his own book. Like, all the stuff that we're doing, because we know a handful of like behind the scenes that's happening behind it. Like not people won't know, like I'm trying to look at the trailer and as a functionality. Okay. Like, I'm looking at the trailer, and at one point, and here's the thing that I was looking at. I don't know if it was the same for you guys. When I looked at the trailer, I go like, where can I get this book? Show me somewhere on the screen where I can get this book, so that I will be like, as soon as this screen ends, you should have this thing go like, it's available here. Right. But at the end of the trailer, they hyped Gargoyle, the name of the book. Right. and then Cummings book 1 September 2023. I'm like, as a tool, right. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you not telling me to go to my local comic book shop? Why are you not giving me the resources to buy this book? It's missing that extra step. As a hype thing, okay, I get it, but there's already a disconnect there because you're doing it in a rendering style that's not indicative of a book. Like I'm looking at the one where they show the behind the scenes version of it, right? Where they're showing, I think, Raphael's history, his affinity for Batman, where he is. And you can tell that he's drawing, but it's like super stylistic now, you know? And then the expression of the final expression of the trailer is nothing like the book. So I'm like, okay, so now I'm going to be asking my audience, you know, to make a huge leap of like, how do you want to understand what the point of this thing is? The behind the scenes stuff, probably not the first thing that you release to the public, probably the one where it's the actual trailer itself. Let me go back one. And I want to see that one and be like, where is this available?
But also the trailer doesn't give you any idea what it's about. It's just like a generic, it could be any Batman book. So like you're not selling the story, you're not selling the artwork. What are you selling?
Is it possible that maybe they're planning on having an actual like show all done
maybe
this way?
I mean,
maybe, but you're like you're having to
teasing the show.
Yeah, but you're having to like read between the lines of what that means, right? Because at the end of the day, at the end of the trailer, it literally goes like, you know, it goes Batman. It says the name, right? And then it says like book on sale now, book 2 on like it's a trailer for a comic book that doesn't show the comic book. It doesn't tell you that those comic books. Exactly. I mean, it's amazing. Don't get me wrong.
There's not even the cover. What do you call it? Yeah.
Nope.
Right.
So that to me, I asked like, do they have enough data? Do they have like metrics that show them if we talk about this product this way, it gets that much more attention in another way? You know, and the reason why I bring it up is because like whenever you see like a perfume commercial, right? Whenever you see a car commercial, most of those car commercials put aspirationally what they want you to feel when you buy that product. Right. It's pretty straightforward. Right. It's like, you know, when you see a perfume commercial with, I don't know, with an actress, right? Like Charlize Theron does what? Chanel, you know, like the images that are associated with that commercial before they land on the product is this aspirational thing of like, we want you to feel this level of elegant, this level of glamorous. Right. Look how, you know, there's a certain feeling of like a heightened sensation of like elitism. You know, you belong to a very exclusive club who understands like when you wear this, it makes you feel this way. Those are all emotional components that they make you want to like, whoa, I want that product. When it comes to cars, and you guys have seen it, like anytime that you have a rugged truck, this thing is driving over the biggest fucking impossible mountain that it has no business. Like it's getting mud on it. It's getting like, and then they show the truck, you know, and then they show you like, it's a Ford, it's cost this much. You know what I mean? It's this year's model, blah, blah, blah. Right. Yeah. People who put together trailers don't know, most specifically this one, clearly don't have an understanding of what it's for. You know, they show the high quality value of this thing. Right. But then they don't like, they go like, oh, this book is this amazing trailer is for a comic book. And you're like, what? You didn't show any of the comic book. You showed the trailer that represents the comic book. When I look at it, what are you trying to instill in me as an audience? Just ask that very simple, seemingly pretty straightforward thing about like, what is it called? Like marketing? It's a marketing concept that they're missing. Right. I love the trailer. I look at it and I'm all like, shit, man, they must have spent a pretty penny. I'm excited for Raphael, but as a trailer, that sucked. As a awareness / where can I get this campaign? Like that sucks. And I'm sorry to speak so pessimistically about it. Gorgeous.
Yeah, no. I understand what you're saying. I think that in general, what you're saying makes more sense if you're trying to appeal to a new audience In this case, I think the goal is just to sell as many copies as possible in the public that they already have. So yeah,
No, I
I
agree.
think the goal is basically we're doing this thing that normally nobody does. We're talking about it. Like Shawn asked the question,
Right,
which
and
means
that's what I was
that
just
it's not
gonna
something
say.
that
I mean,
usually
it's-
people
it's-
say. So it adds, this
Right.
extra value, meaning, we're investing money on this thing, so it must be probably good. That's the value that I see behind it. But as you said, in terms of gaining new audience, probably it should have been made in a different way, probably with more connection to the book. But at the same
Here's something
time,
that I
if
want to
you
say what you're
connect it too
saying.
much
Like,
with sorry, let me just finish for a second.
go ahead.
If you connect it
Go,
too
go, go.
much to comic books, maybe you'll end up losing people that were attracted by the trailer, because at the end they're like, oh, it's just a fucking comic book. It's kids stuff. So I'm not gonna
Right, but are those
like-
people going to
That's
go
so
buy the
cynical.
comic?
I think
here's
that
the
what,
thing, right?
what makes the
Wait,
trick
let
is
me-
the
let me-
really singular. Sorry, just 1 second and I'm done. I promise. The really specific logo and the graphic in general, the Batman written that way, which is really particular. That helps when you go into a comic book shop, because you remember the logo, which is different from the usual Batman logo. That's
Sure.
my 2 cents on the thing. But again, I don't know shit. Sorry to interrupt again.
No, it makes everything that you said makes a lot of sense. So here's my counterpoint to that, right? Is that number one, when if you are appealing to ongoing fans of the book, right? It's really cynical to assume that they won't know what that thing, like we're saying that they're putting a lot of value, or they're putting a lot of quality into the production. So that means they believe in the product, but they don't show the product.
Right.
We believe in this comic book, but we're not going to show you any of this comic book because we assume that you know what the comic books look like. And I'm like, that's incredibly insulting. Like you don't, if you really believe in the product, show the freaking product, don't show this should be all of 30% of what the product should be, just to bring you awareness. Like, hey guys, we believe in this thing. We've invested money in it. And by the way, here's what it's going to look like in the grander scope. The same premise, the same thesis is in place. We believe in this product, you guys who don't typically read our comics, right? And so here it is. Here's the trailer that shows our belief, our investment in it. But we want to be clear, this is what it is, right? To think that they would immediately go like, oh, it's just a fucking comic book. It's almost like, again, it's antithetical to the point of the trailer, which is like, are you trying to hide the fact that it's a comic book to brand new readers? You want to tell them that it is, because we love this product.
Yeah, right.
We love this thing, right? And if you're not reading comic books right now, this is the one to read. And we are making every effort to show you that this is a great investment, not just for us, but for you. It's weird to hide the product and just to say like, oh, it's going to be out. And then and I also tried looking, where is it going to be out? Where? It's DC Black Label, which means it's age 17 and up, right? Books on sale now. Where? Books on sale now. Book 2 on sale in November. Where do you want me to get this? And because at the end of it, it's still the 3D version, right? By the way, does it say it says book, right? Tell me that it says book, please. Yes, it does. Okay. So this entire time you do a 3D trailer, and then at the end of it, you go book, and you're like, oh my gosh. It doesn't say anything in the beginning about the latest amazing offering from DC Comics. Shows their logo, which is conflated now with like the DCEU or DC Animated Projects or like a DC TV. It gives you a little sort of like, text lead in and then the animated sequence, but nowhere does it say, this is an awesome comic book. You should go get it from DC, more info at dccomics.com. More, go to your local comic book shop and go get blah, 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 blah. There's a tool in the comments that shows where the comic book shops are in your area.
Right.
As a final product, on purely from the technical standpoint, amazing. I'm like, geez, man, this took a lot of time, energy, finance, resource. Amazing.
I mean, I want to watch that movie. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, right? I want to watch that animated trailer. I want to watch whatever that thing is. But you hid the comic book, which sucks. You hid the opportunity for people to find it, which sucks.
Shawn, what was your idea when you asked the question? Like, did you already have an opinion, or you were genuinely just interested in knowing what we think?
My opinion was, why would this sell a book? Like everything Eric just said, like that's what I felt. And it just got me thinking more and more, because I do see, like, a lot of times on Kickstarter, if people are selling a comic, there's an animated version of the comic. This one took it a step farther, where the art wasn't even from the comic. But I was just wondering, like, just thinking about selling a book when I do it, like, do animated trailers sell comics? If so, why?
So you asked me earlier because I've done it, right? And I'm like, yeah, but I'm deliberate about what I'm selling, right? I think they got the formula, parts of the formula, right? Which is you open with who makes this comic, the brand or the individual that makes it. Makes a lot of sense. You give them a lead in, basically an understanding of what you're about to get into. And then you can do the super flashy stuff, which again, they did. But in the end, that's when it's the most critical. If I have you for this long, right, I'm going to tell you how to get it. And this doesn't. It's not in the business of doing that. It's just in the business of like showing off this thing. And it's hiding the fact that it's a comic book. Right. Right. It's actively doing that, So I'm like, why are you doing that? Why are you making me Is the comic book not good enough to stand, to at the very least call out that it's a comic book? Like, hey man, this is going to be a book in stores, and here's what the covers look like. Here's what the actual art looks like. Doesn't make any sense. It diminishes, either on purpose or by accident, the product that you're ultimately trying to sell, right? So if a guy goes into the comic book store and goes like, this is available, I saw this on YouTube, right? Let's say in the far off distance where somebody goes like, can I see this thing? Because it doesn't animate, it doesn't go into that space of Matteo was talking about. Do you think it's going to be an animated thing? And like, maybe, but that's not what this thing is talking about, Right, and so it gives you, hey, book 1 is available now. Book 2 is going to be available, blah. Show me what the book looks like so that when the customer goes into the store, he knows exactly what he's looking for. That logo at the end of it with the title or whatever, with the font, that's not what it's going to be on the cover. That's the hype thing, I think, because that's not Raphael's art where that's on it, So I've done it before, right? To your point, but I'm deliberate about it. I'm strategic about what I'm trying to communicate to the audience. This thing, every part of it, except for the end, says animated series, either movie or direct to video. So,
but aside from this, Eric didn't really want to talk about it. He just said 2 words and then he stopped talking. You see, he didn't have anything to say about it. He said it.
No, I was
in his premise.
It was just I derailed
before
the podcast
talking for
with my
20
question.
minutes.
I depressed.
I get hyped up, or I get really super annoyed where I'm like, there's so much money that went into that, and 0% went into like money. One step before.
Give it to me.
Give me that. Listen, give me that fucking money, and I'll cut your trailer.
Give me the money.
I'll cut your trailer,
and I'll buy a new car.
Yeah, give me that money, and I won't do any of this shit. I'll fly to Italy and hang out with Matteo for as he recovers from his fucking stroke.
Do we have a deal? Well, we'll put it on YouTube if we do. It's still gonna be on YouTube.
I think once you start getting into this space, all of these little things, that one bothered me in particular because I spend so much time, energy, and just thinking about like, what is the tone that the book is trying to say? And I think they got that right. I was like, okay, I get it. It's like, it's Batman. It's dark. It's noirish. It feels really good. There's a bit of action into it. Like, what is the theme of the thing that they're trying to hype? And I'm like, good. That's really, really well done. And they do an animated version of it. I'm like, okay, I guess it's because they think that that's going to get the eyeballs. All right, I get it. And by the end, I was like, show me the art. Like literally, like we'd be like, where is the artwork on this thing? Because you're almost ashamed to show Raphael's art in the whole thing. You're like, why? Why do you like? You should be hyping. Like, if this is it, you're proud of this thing enough to invest in it in this capacity. Show the thing that you're super proud of, right? Going back to the truck analogy, the big off-road ATV or whatever. It's like showing all that mud, horses running across the field, hay bales getting thrown in the back, and then you cut to the truck, or you cut to like a silhouette of the truck. And you're like, why didn't you show the fucking truck? Show the thing that this commercial is all about. I don't know. It gets annoying. And also because I know I can guess how expensive this is. I'm like, you spent that much money and you just give it to me. I'll cut your trailer. Give it to me and give me Raphael's art. I'll cut your trailer.
What do you think? How much do you think a trailer like this costs?
I have no idea.
Ballparking. Let's say there's a small studio that does it. If it's
$500K,
maybe. No, not that much.
Okay.
Let's say conservatively, it's under 100K. Let's say
under
100 conservative.
Okay.
Like, let's say it's under 100. Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you're like, they have to build the rig. They have to build the asset, rig the asset to move, right? And depending on where you are in the world, it becomes more cost effectively, like, cheaper. I'm just talking about the animated part, right? Because there's a version in which they go behind the scenes. Yep. They have to rig it. They have to light it so they can animate it and do all the effects. But yeah, let's say 100K. If I'm being really conservative, they cut, they open. Yeah.
Okay. So for each trailer that we see, it's 100K more or less. Or you're talking about specifically the one that you were watching?
This one in specific, yeah. If it's 100K, if it's more than 100K, I'd be surprised. Who's 100K?
Oh, by the way, speaking of animation, I watched recently Arcane on Netflix, the League of Legends based show.
My kids love that show.
Oh my God, the production value on that thing is out of this world. Like, it's incredible.
Yeah, my kids.
Do you guys watch it?
My kids
okay, your kids.
Did you watch the whole? Did you watch the whole thing, Maddie?
Yes.
Yeah,
I watched it.
I think why nice. I mean, the what do you call it? The production value being what it is. Clearly, there was money that was just poured into that project. What I think Arcane offers that I was genuinely pleasantly surprised by, is just how well the thing is written. Everything made sense. There's a couple things that they left just kind of hanging, but it wasn't critical to address it for the sake of the story. But everybody was motivated and everything made sense. And what a freaking amazing job Fortiche, the animation studio that did that stuff overseas. Fortiche is worth every penny in my opinion. But as pretty as it was, I've seen a ton of pretty shows. And I go like, oh, this is pretty for the sake of pretty, but it doesn't really hold together story-wise. The reason why it works really, really well is because they landed that story. So congratulations to the team that worked on that.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Beautiful.
Give Matteo all the money for this Gargoyle of Gotham trailer.
Yeah. If they want to give me the money for Arcane as well, I wouldn't mind. Oh. It's a couple of mils.
I didn't know that was on the table.
Whoever wants to give me money, I won't say no in general. If you're
we're taking creativity off of
rejection, you won't get any rejection in that case.
It doesn't even have to be anything creative. If you just want to give money to Matteo, just give it to him. All right, listen, we're breaching into the hour. I don't know how much Jamie will edit out of this. Let's talk about what we're up to. Maddie, do we go typically Matteo first, or do we talk? Let's switch it up. Shawn, what are you doing?
I'm still on the same shit. I'm getting my commissions done and getting my cards done and getting ready for New York. And I have formulated a new plan, a new strategy for next year, which will be not hardly any shows. I'm going to just try to lock it down here and get shit done as much as I can.
Listen to this guy. Matty. About you, you're doing the shows that you're not doing. Matteo's going to do twice next year to make up for.
No, we did, like in this last few years, I haven't been doing a lot of shows. I'm actually pretty excited. I don't know if we're gonna finalize this deal, but I might be going to Abu Dhabi by the end of the year. There's a Storm the Block, this new show that we're putting up, and I might go there. We'll see if we can make it happen. And so I'm excited about that. And also, I'm finished. As I was saying at the beginning of the episode, I'm about to finish this thing, the last commission that I have, and once I do that, I'll be back on my book, and then I'll have the New York show. So that's all I have on my plate, and I'm still waiting for a script for a cool Batman thing. And I think I spoke about it already. And other than that.
You're doing some interiors? Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's going to be interiors. Yeah. It's a really cool project that I really care about. And you'll know more once I know what it is. Once I'm able to say what it is.
Look at the level of confidence and arrogance Shawn just showed. I know it is. I'm behind the scenes. I know what goes on behind the secret curtain of Matteo's career. I'm cool.
How about you, Eric?
It's more Arc Athena all the time. So I'm already planning the strategy for 2024. The next one that I'd come to realize that people love the characters. They really genuinely are invested, but they want to get to know more of them. Fuck, man, I can't draw fast enough. So I'm trying to pare down my style so that I can draw it faster. And then I'm trying to set up the books as they are now from the crowdfunding space and getting into brick and mortar. And that means finding a publisher. And I think I'm in the process of reformatting it so that it will be, saddle stitched and available in stores through Image. So that's going to be a lot of fun once I get that thing up and going. But I think it's more of Arc Athena. So I'm doing a simplified style, this time released in black and white, and potentially, as we had conversations with people like Carl and people who are in this space, like releasing it for free, but definitely bringing it onto my website and using social media.
You already spoke about it in the last episode. Yeah, I remember you telling me this.
Yeah, so I just tied up the script for it now. I typically work in bullet points, you know what I mean? Like old school Marvel, sort of just like the Marvel way, where it's like, this needs to happen, and I go back and take a polished pass when it comes to the action and then ultimately the dialogue. So I'm into that. And I think awesome, that's pretty much it. Yeah, exciting times ahead for all of us. An hour and 7. Awesome. Hopefully, Jamie edits this down to a tight 3 minutes. All right, guys, we'll do this again later on.
Rock on.
All right, have a good day. Talk to you guys later.
You too, brothers.
This is the Inkpulp podcast. This is the Inkpulp podcast. Comics, hip hop, life.